Hello my darlings, and welcome to this week's episode of an A to Z guide to being a creative genius. And this week, because it is the week of the summer solstice, being the highest point of the sun, the longest day, the most kind of potent peak of our energy of the year, the nature cycle, I thought this would be the perfect time to explore F for fire. Ba, ba, ba. F for creative fire, just to make that distinction. You're not coming here to learn tips of how to be an arsonist or anything like that. Sorry to disappoint if that's what you're expecting. Our creative fire is literally, it is our life force. It's the flame that keeps us alive. It's a little bit like, it's not a terribly exciting metaphor, but it's a bit like that we're all a boiler, and at birth our pilot light goes on, and then when we die that pilot light goes off again. It's extinguished. What causes that light to go on and then to go off again is connected to our breath. And if you think about the language we use, we inspire, to take a breath in, the same as inspiration. Something from outside of us fills us. We kind of go ding, that light bulb comes on. And conversely, we expire, release, let go, breathe out, the end. So the breath is intrinsically linked to our creative fire and to our life force. And we know this, don't we? We can go without food for quite a while, actually. We can go without water for a certain amount of time, but to go without breath, not for that long, actually. I'm sure that you've tried that. And it's how our energy is fed and fueled in our body, is via the breath, that oxygen going to every single cell and helping every part of our body and every single organ to function to its highest potential. So breath, inspiration, creative spirit, all are connected. You could also say that this fire that we have, this creative fire, is connected to with our desire to create, our desire to live, our desire to become, a desire for something. So it's also linked with eros, that bridge between death and life and everything that happens in between. And it's also very much connected to passion. Fire is such a great image that is associated with the energy of passion, which literally burns us up and is the most extraordinary creative force. It's a very holy and reverent creative force. And it's also an incredibly destructive force as well, depending how we use it. Same with fire. It can warm us, it can help us to heat food, it can light up a darkness, and it can burn us, it can hurt us badly, and it can literally burn down and destroy everything in its way. As an artist and as the creator of our lives, it's really this fire that we're playing with. Makes me think of the late Keith Flint from The Prodigy in the song I Am the Fire Starter. Really every single one of us is a fire starter in our lives, because we don't have to be making these grand, boisterous gestures, these huge bonfires that everybody gasps and at and has something to say about and draws hundreds and thousands of people to respond to it. The way that our creative fire is expressed can also be in the most smallest and ordinary of ways. It can simply be in the way that you wear your hair, apply your makeup, how you dress. It can be in the way that you open the door for others and smile, in the little moments of conversation and connection that you have with strangers as you go about your day. Our creative fire and its unique expression can be found in the loops of a scrawly handwritten grocery list, and also in the way that we chop up our vegetables to make our dinner. It could be in the way you walk down the street, the gait that you have, the rhythm that you have in walking, and the way that you arrange flowers that were bought for you. It's also the way that you laugh and the way that you touch others, whether that's literally in touch with others or just the way that we do so all the time, often without realizing it. That's energy of that fire, yeah, just lighting up, setting something or somebody else on fire too. Inspiration, the movement of spirit as love, as devotion, as excitement, as wonder, as a desire to make and to create all aspect of our lives. Absolutely vital that we have a kind of understanding of this fire in us, because it does need to be tended to, it does need to be respected and understood and nourished and looked after as well. Just like with any fire, once we've got it set up, we've done everything we can, got a good fire going, it will still need us to come along every now and then and poke it around, add something else to it, make sure nothing falls off or goes awry, and that it's safe at the end of the day. This is a similar thing with our own creative fire. You could say that our fire is very much also connected to the sense of power that moves through us. And it may be that you're watching this video or you found this because you feel, and I will use that expression because it fits with what we're talking about, you're feeling dispirited. You know that feeling? I've been there. We're feeling a little bit like that flame has gone really, really, really far down, like it's just maybe gone back to pilot mode. And we've got no energy. Maybe the light's gone a little bit from behind our eyes. So there are a number of ways that we can work with tending to our creative fire as a kind of maintenance, and also when we are feeling that our light's gone down a little bit too far. Maybe we've been disappointed, maybe we've lost hope, maybe we're just tired and we're at that place where fuck it, yeah, I'll just get by, I'll keep my head down, I'll just survive. And we're not made for that. None of us. As I say, we're not necessarily made for these grand, huge, in the spotlight lives, but we're certainly made for a life worth living, a spirited life. So a very simple way to do this is to invite a sense of ritual, because really what we're doing is rebuilding our connection to spirit, to life. Because I think that when we feel dispirited and when we've kind of lost our light, for me it's when I've forgotten the magic in the world, forgotten the wonder, I've forgotten that life surprises me when I'm least expecting it, and I've kind of closed down and shut off, unable to see any of that anymore. Can you imagine a life without magic and wonder and those wow moments and things that we just can't explain? It would just, oh God, it would be really hard work and really boring and probably, very serious and not very much fun whatsoever, not very playful or light or joyous, actually. Quite a sobering place to live from. So one of the things that you could do, just as a simple way to invite that connection to spirit again, is to light a candle. These kind of old rituals, when I think about it now, we've lost a lot of this, haven't we, with our modern day inventions, which are wonderful. But things like relying on switching a light switch, turning a knob to heat a plate that we can cook our dinner on, rather than building fires and taking the time to be in reverence to something that's kind of uncontrollable and we need to be very present and aware to. I wonder about that. Same with like writing letters, sitting down, choosing paper, choosing a pen, actively writing, sealing in an envelope, going to a post office, I think we've lost a lot of ritual, and actually I do believe that ritual is a vital part of keeping our spirit alive and fed. The candle lighting I do quite often, and I do it with a little prayer. It could be for the health, well-being of loved ones. It could be for an intention for something for that day. It could simply be to honour a sacred space. So I will often light a candle before I either do some meditation practice, a little bit of dance, make art, show up to do some writing, write an important email, and so on. So just a sense of offering up, a remembering of the sacred in that moment. It really does make a massive big difference. It's just immediately incredibly powerful. And it can also be a reminder of that inner fire that we have in ourselves, that it's still going, that it's there. The second thing that you can do is, if you do recognize, and it does take courage to recognize and to voice and to admit that, okay, that my fire's gone out. First is just to honour that, just to allow that, relax into that a little, to meet it as it is. And then secondly, to ask yourself if you're willing to fight for your life, if you're willing to choose life. It's really interesting, this, getting on board, riding that fire like a dragon's breath, rather than just being pulled through life, if you like, by your hair or, by your hands, and you're all floppy and you have got no choices here. Life is a choice. It's a moment by moment choice. It's very much asking of us to be an active participant rather than a victim. Now, I say that with kindness here. We all have this victim mentality in us. We all do. Sometimes we don't realize that we have that playing out. But being aware of that possibility and asking oneself, am I willing to actively choose my life today? What would that mean to me? What does that look like? And if the answer is no, really own that, knowing that tomorrow is another day. And having to fight for our life as well. If we're really, really going down, that light is flickering away, we might have to pull on everything that we have, every single resource that we have available to us, and literally fight for our life, fight over that place that wants to pull us towards maybe inertia and depression and darkness and numbness, and again, all of those places that are familiar and human. We are just mysterious beings, aren't we, that we have those places as well as the other places, the joy and the passion and the lightness and the excitement and the willingness and the courage. We have all of these going on, and sometimes it really is checking in and seeing which one we are choosing to fight for that day. So you become a badass warrior in those moments. When it comes to matters of life and death, which is really what we're talking about in some way, then yeah, we do have to take our life seriously. Not walking around being serious, that's very different. But as I say, the responsibility, it's choosing a responsibility, ability to respond to life as it is, even if it's fucking shit at the moment or nothing's going right. You're just like, what the hell? It's still choosing to go, I'm responsible for my life. I'm going to ride this wave out for a while. Something else is going to happen. My flame is going to burn bright again very soon. And just trusting in that and having faith in that. Very much, again, connected to spirit, to God, to prayer. That we're not on our own. That we're supported, that we are part of something bigger. And I think about this with candles. How powerful a candle flame is. How much light it actually brings. How much it can illuminate just from a small light. And that's like each one of us. Yeah? Might be getting a little bit kind of hippie new agey here, but it's true. So imagine, like, if all of us, if our lights are really switched on, wow, how powerful that is, how bright that is, how extraordinary that is. And also that thing with candles, and it's the same thing with fire and with our spirit, is that if our candle is burning bright, somebody whose candle isn't really lit can get that light from us too, very easily, and that can light another candle, like there's an endless amount of spirit and light and love to go around. I think there is a quote somewhere, isn't there, around that you can never use up creativity, that the more you use, the more you have. And it's the same thing here. Our creative spirit is creativity. It's very beautiful. There's also a quote that I'm reminded of, the Mariam Williamson one that's talking about maybe it's not our darkness that we're most scared of, maybe it's our light. Yeah, because to shine, really shine and be seen and be exposed in that way, yeah, maybe we're more scared of that. And I think sometimes there's a lot of this, when we say we're scared of failing and trying, actually maybe we're scared of succeeding, really being seen in who we are and what we have to offer into our light. One other thing I'm just going to share with you here, and I find this really extraordinary. So this has come from one of my favourite books that every creative being, particularly every woman, should read, called Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. I'll put a link down below in the comment section. And she's a Jungian analyst as well as a curandero, a storyteller, and in this book she takes different stories and looks at different aspects of a woman's life and also a creative life. So one of the stories is The Little Match Girl, and this is talking about what we do with our creativity here. And I'm just going to do a bit of, interactiveness here for you, my darlings. So she talks about fantasy. This is very interesting because fantasy is not reality. Our creative spirit, burning and being alive, we're very much choosing reality, choosing life. When we're living in fantasy and too much in our imagination, it can create this very kind of malingering, it's such a good word, isn't it? Malingering quality. We're not really here. It's a little icky. There's nothing really substantial to grab onto. Something else, something kind of dark is taking us away. And she talks about how in The Little Match Girl, we have these flames, we have these fires that come to us, little sparks of ideas and creations. And what we do is we get lost in just gazing at that until it's gone out. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that was nice while it lasted. Try again. Little match girl lights another match. There's a whole other story to this, but we'll just go with this version that's coming out for me now, for the context of what I'm talking about. We have this flame that's capable of lighting a candle, but we don't do anything with it. We let it go out again. We'll do one more because 3 is always a magic number. Until it gets to a point where we're so far away from a reality. We're living in this fantasy land where maybe everything's great in this fantasy land. We're lost in this dream in a way. And however beautiful the flame is of this match, it's going to go out very shortly. It's kind of useless. And we hold on and we cling on to this ideal and this dream until we're left with, and there's just nothing there to sustain us. If we live in that place for too long, it's a very dangerous place to live in. So instead what we can do is, when we get struck by that little fire, is use it. Ask for help immediately. I've got this flame, what can I do? Gather others around. They might have candles. They might help you to sustain that. Or we can put it to use. Put it into something that can burn for longer, that's more substantial and tangible, that has a solidity to it, a ground to it. We can put down the ideals and the dreaming and take action. Instead, we can get support. We can get help. We can be around others who inspire us. Gazing at just this little flame, we can look out at the world, and even if we don't necessarily feel that yet, we can try something. Where could I be inspired? Maybe it's going to an art gallery and gazing upon a beautiful painting. Maybe it's taking some crayons and just doodling and sitting out on a bench in the park. Maybe it's just trying something new. Maybe it's going out dancing. I know these things I've often talked about, but they're just incredible, very simple and very human ways we can encourage our fire to start moving again. Go somewhere you haven't been to. Read a different kind of book. Turn the TV off. Mix it up. basically. See if there's something else there that maybe has a kindling that can get your fire just beginning to go. Just enough, because that's all we need, is just enough to begin with. I'm going to finish with a quote here from Estes herself. It's far better to heal one's addiction to fantasy than to wait around wishing and hoping to be raised from the dead. Don't wait around. You have one life. Live it. Find that strength and burn. Allow life to burn you up, and burn with joy and love and desire for the thing that makes sense to you, even if it doesn't make sense to anybody else. Reignite that fire for what it is that you do creatively, for your project, for your work, for your family, for yourself, for your art, for the day, for life. It's why we're here. It's why we're here. So we might as well enjoy ourselves while we're here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time and your attention. If you haven't done so already, I'd love it if you would like this video. Please comment what you think about creative fire, how it moves in you, any ways that you know work to get that going. And if you haven't done so already, do subscribe, and please do share these videos. It would be amazing if this touches more people. I am always in service to creative freedom and to joy and to living a life and helping support your life into whatever possibilities await you. So until next week, have a beautiful one and happy solstice.